Hello, Ian. We're running the song a little long today,
I
huh?
wanted us to marinate in it a little bit.
Got to get those juices sealed in. Welcome to Blank as a Fart, everyone. My name is Gabe. Over there is Ian. We're watching Twin Peaks. We are so close to the end, and boy, is Ian glad about that. We've invested a lot of time on this journey. Ian's first, my third, I think, for the return. And tonight it's part 17. It's the penultimate episode, second to last episode ever of the series of any Twin Peaks material that you will see on a screen.
But not the penultimate episode of Blank as a Fart.
No. We're cheating a little bit. I mean, I'm going to call it the epilogue, so maybe, I guess that's still technically...
epilogue.
Epilogues are still technically part of the same novel, so that's an episode.
I do have to comment on the epilogue.
What about the epilogue? There
will be a vacation happening between the last episode of the show and the epilogue of this show. What is that, the 13th? I don't know. There will have to be a little break again. Because I will be on a family vacation. So next week's episode, we're fine. But and
then a week off.
Then a week off. Because I forgot that there is a family vacation coming, Gabe. So I will be again.
Summers are hard.
I will be back.
Summers are hard.
I will be back in Idaho.
Oh.
Can't get away from it.
I'm sorry.
Can't get away from it.
You'd almost rather be watching David Lynch.
Next question.
Almost.
Coeur d'Alene's pretty cool. Anyway.
Only ever passed through. Got not much to say about it.
Here we are.
I saw Boise from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. while I was waiting for a bus. That's about it.
Oh, Coeur d'Alene's like a very kind of cool Portlandish town. You'd like
really?
It. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty liberal. Safe. Be safe. Got some cool breweries. Yeah. Anyway, big lake.
All right.
Big lake.
Big lake. I have heard about the lake. I knew a few people who grew up there. But enough about Idaho. I don't think we have any scenes set there. In fact, I think everybody makes it to Twin Peaks proper this episode, don't they? With the exception of any insane Las Vegas characters that we've left behind. But a few of them tagged along for the light show.
A lot of them.
We'll get to that in a little bit, though. Did you have anything else? Any other housekeeping before we begin here? Or?
Just that I forgot that I have a vacation in the middle of July that will separate
just that
the final episode. But
just that part we already covered.
Other than that, no.
Okay. Then we'll launch into the recap. Part 17 begins with a long-distance shot of a highway outside of Buckhorn. In the FBI control room at the hotel, Gordon is lamenting his inability to pull the trigger when fake Diane went aggro. Albert accuses him of getting soft, and Gordon tells Ian's favorite joke of the entire series this far, I'm sure, which is, "Not where it counts, buddy." I'm sure he's just talking about his biceps or his abs or something.
No. That's not what he's talking about.
No?
His penis.
That's not what Tammy seems to think.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gives him a look, doesn't she?
I love
That's
it.
The part that I
love it.
Didn't like.
I love it that these.
That's the part that was just like letters page from Penthouse bullshit.
I just love that these three characters have been sitting in this room for like the last 3-4 episodes. Just here. Like they've just been sitting in this room.
Right. And how much time has passed?
No, I know.
In these episodes?
I know. But it's still funny to me that like, oh, they're still in this room. Like every other character,
well,
even if very little time has passed, people are in different areas. This group of people have just been sitting in this room. It's just funny to me.
It is. It kind of is like a counterpoint to Hutch and Chantal, right? Because pretty much every time we see them, they're just sitting around.
Yeah, but they're sitting
like
in different
we very
locations.
rarely see them.
different
Right. Well,
locations.
no, they're in the same van every time.
Well, yeah, but still different locations in the van.
Eh, eh.
Overpass, front of a dude's house. It's
I
different.
mean, we do get that scene of them in the fancy room downstairs, the FBI gang, but that's earlier in the series. That's the same hotel, technically,
Well,
though.
even later when she goes into the high res place in Vegas, I guess, and assassinates the one dude.
Oh,
That's
Chantal
different.
does.
That's different.
Yeah.
This is
But
just
then,
like
Gordon almost falls into a vortex in the sky. So he gets his moments too.
that was a while ago. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, these guys have
Yeah.
literally, they were on a road trip for the longest time, and then they've just been stuck in this room, and it's just kind of funny to me.
Yeah. So I do see parallels on the sides of good and evil for that, but it's all about the parallels, right?
Sure.
Maybe.
If that's what you want to call them.
Yeah, the parallels. Gordon goes on to tell Albert that there's a secret he's been keeping for 25 years. Before his disappearance, Major Briggs yeah, had confided in Gordon and Cooper about his discovery of an extreme negative force. It bore the name Jiao Dai in ancient times, which was later shortened to Judy for convenience or brevity or whatever. Okay, now I confess to having forgotten a step of preparation
Uh-oh.
because there is like they tie this to, I think, yeah, some Sumerian mythology.
Sumerian, like Conan?
Yeah, or like Gozer. No, not Cimmerian, but Sumerian.
Oh, Sumerian. Sorry.
Yeah,
You said you got to get the Sue in there. I heard a Si. There's a
yeah.
Sue. All right. No Crom.
So yeah, this supposedly this is like
Just Gozer. No Crom.
uh blah, 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 blah. Demons that feed on human suffering. In particular, it speaks of one called Jiao Dai and one called Baal, female and male, and their union on Earth is alleged to hasten the end of the world as we know it.
Key. Gate Master. Got it.
That's pretty typical. But
Ghostbusters.
I mean,
We're talking Ghostbusters. If you've seen Ghostbusters, you get it.
yeah. So anyway, like if you think of like Judy or Jaude as the experiment, like the white spirit figure, and then Bob as Ball, wink, wink. Then, like, yeah, that's the goal. That's Mr. C's ultimate goal is to unite these two figures and bring about the end of the world. If that's the tack you want to take on this particular mythology, but that's
we know how that works. We can fight that, Gabe. We just have to cross the
oh
streams.
yeah,
We'll be fine.
right, yeah, not where it counts, buddy.
Ah.
So yeah, I mean, it's establishing. Yes, that's the general consensus among Reddit armchair mythologists is that Judy or Jaude is the white creature that sliced up Sam and Tracy in the very early episodes.
Okay.
So anyway, then Cooper and Briggs both disappeared. Gordon says Cooper's final instructions to him were that if he were to disappear, he should come looking. Okay, good. Gordon then adds a little tidbit that poor Ray Monroe was actually a paid FBI informant, and he was keeping him filled in on Mr. C's desire for the coordinates that the Major possessed. Gordon apologizes to Albert for the decades of secrecy, then expresses his doubt as to whether this plan is working or not at all.
Can I interject here?
Yeah.
So like this just seems very just clumsy. And that's fine. Whatever. They're trying to wrap it up.
Particularly coming where it does. Like, honestly, I remember the stuff about Judy coming up way earlier. Like, I thought that stuff was mentioned like a little after they fill Tammy in on the whole Blue Rose thing. I had completely forgotten how late in the series this information
Yeah,
crops up,
just like, oh hey, by
because
the
it really
way,
does.
right?
It really does kind of reshape how you see everything that comes before it.
But it's clumsy in a sense that like I feel like I think it would have been awesome
I think it's
if it
clumsy
was.
simply because
Oh,
it's
it's
exposition,
no,
and Lynch hates
it's well,
exposition.
well, yeah, but it's the most clumsiest exposition of all time, and Lynch hates it, but he's doing it, or him or
I would
Frost are
argue
doing it,
against that.
whatever. Well, anyway, well, they had to put it in. They could
Have
have
you
put it
seen the
in.
movie version of the Mortal Engines, or the Mortal? What is it? The Mortal
All I'm
Bones?
saying is, Gabe, if they were, I mean, if he's a good filmmaker, he could have put it in way better than this. He had fucking 18, 19 episodes to fucking figure this out. I could have figured this out, and I'm going to explain to you how it would have been better right now. I think Albert should have been the one that had the plan with him instead of Gordon. I think that would have been way more interesting.
It would have been, yeah. I won't lie. I agree
Anyway,
with that.
and then he could have leaked because
And it
then
would have
Gordon,
given us
because then
more,
Gordon would have
yeah.
been really weird about it, and then Albert would have been like he could have
Because
been having
Albert's
these
just kind of there. He doesn't
there,
say
and
shit
he
for
doesn't
this
have anything.
episode.
There's no, but he hasn't really
Yeah.
had anything to do anything for a while, and I
Yeah.
think having Albert be the one, like, why is Albert here being the one that had this information, and like and then came to like Gordon at like late night and said, I need to tell you something. I've had this plan with Coop for a long time. I don't know. I just think that would have been more interesting and more cool to the character development, because like I feel, I don't know. Here's the thing, Gabe. I'm watching these 3 seasons way close together, and they're not meant to be, I think, that way. I think you were supposed to watch the 2 seasons, forget a lot of it, and then come back to this
Yeah.
one. Unfortunately,
Well-
I'm invested, and I never thought that Cooper's while his relationship with Gordon Cole in the original series is kind of close because they work in FBI. I feel like the relationship that was built with Albert through the series warrants more of a payoff here.
The original series?
Yeah. No, yeah.
I agree 100%.
I'm talking
that
about
was one of my biggest disappointments, is how little interaction we get between OG Cooper and OG series characters.
and I think
everybody would agree with that 100%.
And I think this is the part where you do that. This is the part where like Albert is like, I've been involved. Coop and I have been in on this. We knew the Briggs, all this stuff we're gonna get into. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, I just think that this is the part where Albert's playing the long game with Coop. I don't know. I think this could have informed a lot of the acting that was going. It's not.
I think it would have been more interesting.
This is where I get clumsy, missed opportunities. This is like a lot of that. I was like, did anyone really read this? Like, are we just going off the first draft here? Could we have like thought about this and kind of massaged some of this? Like, I would have loved to have massaged some of this. Like it just, I don't know. This is a lot of what I sit there and when I'm watching it, it's like, this is what? And I'm just like, this is dumb. We could have done this so much better. Anyway, this is where I'm at. Like, because I really want to like this show. Here's the problem with this show. I really want to like it. I really do want to like it. And so my brain is going overtime. Man, we could have done this. We could have done this. This could have really worked. But it's just clumsy and complacent. And I don't know, it chives me. Chives. I'm going to use a lot of C words tonight, Gabe. Chives.
All right.
Crappy.
Chives.
Complacent. Clumsy.
I don't know where chives comes in. Aren't those the things you put on top of a baked potato?
Yeah, but you can also it can be another.
Okay.
Anyway, whatever.
Anyway,
Don't be a
hopefully
chimp,
we'll get
Gabe.
to something you do enjoy in a little bit here. Hopefully we'll get to something that you find classy. That was the fastest C word I could come up with.
He's playing along with the C's.
That was, yeah. All right. Where did we leave off? You've got me very distracted
Sorry, we're
here.
in the room. He's talking to Albert. Albert
Okay,
is
yes. Cole's phone rings, and it's the Las Vegas FBI field office informing him that they found Douglas Jones. Well, sort of. They found his most recent whereabouts, namely his hospital bed. Bushnell Mullins shows up and takes the phone from the agents to read to Cole the message that Cooper left for him. I am heading for Sheriff Truman. It is 2:53 in Las Vegas, which adds up to 10, the number of completion. That's the whole message. For those of you paying attention, 2:53 was also the time when the portal to the fireman's realm opened to Andy. They were 253 yards away from Jackrabbit's palace. So that number repeats itself here. As to its importance, I had a theory because I did know that 253 was the area code for the Tacoma area. But when I looked that up, that actually wasn't a thing until 97, which would have been long after Lynch had left that area. So means nothing. Although Frost still lives out there. Anywho, Gordon finally puts together that Dougie and Cooper are one in the same, and with a few quick strokes of her keyboard, Tammy is able to fill in the rest of the team on Dougie's adventures over the last week or so. I did kind of enjoy Tammy and Albert's matter-of-fact readings of Dougie's scenes. It's kind of like, oh, somebody tried to assassinate him. He stuck a fork in an electrical socket. That's weird even for Cooper. That was that was the best line Albert got in the episode for sure. But I think it might be his last line in the series, to be honest with you.
That sucks.
Yeah. But anyway, at least it was a good one. Gordon tells the crew to pack it up. He knows where they're going. Pretty sure we all do. It's nighttime at the lockup in the sheriff's station, so I'm not sure where these time zones are working. They've said, like, somebody has claimed, I saw something on Reddit that said, oh, Frost said in an interview that the time frames or that the time isn't messed with. And I'm like, of course it is. There's clear evidence of that. Like, there's scenes where Diane receives a text from Mr. C, and then we see him send it like 3 episodes later. So there are obviously some scenes that take place before some others that we see later in the episode. And it's hard to put together where some of those begin and where they end. And this is one of those because it's dark at the sheriff's station in Twin Peaks. Blah. Chad takes note of the fact that the mimicking drunk has finally fallen asleep, and he slowly begins to sit up and reach for something. But the drunk startles awake, and the two exchange a few F-bombs at each other. Back to those same shots of power lines and night driving on the highway as Mr. C continues his journey to the coordinates that he finally received from Diane. Back in her cell, Naito, the eyeless woman, appears to sense Mr. C's approach and grows more agitated, while James and Freddie look on in confusion. Cut to early morning at the Great Northern, where Ben Horn is taking a phone call from Wyoming. Yes, apparently Jerry made it to Wyoming on foot, though he appears to have lost his clothes on the way. Ben makes arrangements to have him returned home. I neglected to look up a map here to try and determine
Wyoming.
how far. Jackson Hole, I believe, is northern Wyoming at least. But yes, this means that Jerry would have had to, because Twin Peaks is supposedly northern Washington.
Through Idaho.
Yeah, like near the Canadian border. So yeah, through the entire state of Washington, through Idaho, through part of Montana.
And this show is supposedly working on a timeline that is not whatever it would take you to walk through Idaho in a day, like a week. I don't know how long it would take you to walk from.
I mean, maybe Jerry found a portal. Who knows?
Clearly he did.
I mean, he had binoculars that were powerful enough to kill someone.
Yeah. You're right. I recess.
So I think that is actually our wrap on Ben Horn, though I could be wrong. I mean, like I said earlier, there are scenes that I remember happening far earlier in the return that did not actually happen until this episode. So there's a lot of stuff I could be wrong about. Oh boy, dark and sizzling power lines again before we cut to the morning, and Mr. C's truck pulled over on the side of the road. It's the same place where the team from the sheriff's station parked when they visited Jack Rabbit's palace. And yes, indeed, the coordinates that Mr. C has are leading him right to the pond with the golden liquid and the single sycamore tree. Time skips, the vortex opens, and Mr. C just blinks away. And he appears in the fireman's theater. But as what looks to be like a spirit self, you can see the black fire that, possesses him. He is trapped in a small square cage, looked to be made of barbed wire. I mean, he's like mashed in there like MODOK.
Yes.
Next to him is the floating disembodied head of Major Briggs, which does nothing and says nothing. Projected onto the screen behind them is a shot of the Golden Pond portal that Mr. C just traveled through. We see the fireman floating up above the balcony in the theater. Then we cut back to the screen, which now shows the front door of the Palmer home. The fireman waves his arm and the scene slides over, instead becoming a tree-lined parking lot. We get a glimpse of a room containing a large number of these weird electric bells/kettles that seem to populate the fireman's realm. They seem to be powering whatever machine this theater contains. And then before long, Mr. C's cage is turned around and fed into the giant golden horn above the screen, which transmits him through the picture and back into the real world. In her cell, Naito sits up bolt upright, and Mr. C turns around to find himself in the parking lot of the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Station. Threads weaving together.
Forced together.
I mean, this is an 18-hour movie, so this was the plan all along, whether we get it or not.
It's an 18-hour series. It's not an 18.
We haven't watched it like an 18-hour movie.
If it was a movie, it would be cut and down to like, this is not an 18. I mean, I've seen a lot of series that are like this. This is not. This is not an 18-hour movie.
Mr. C seems confused and reaches briefly for his gun before he notices Andy fetching some items from the back of a station wagon. He approaches Andy with the best smile that an evil spirit can possibly muster, as Andy, who is easily fooled, expresses excitement at seeing whom he believes to be his old friend. In her cell, Naito is really starting to lose it now, and James and Freddie wonder if she's trying to communicate. Oh, you think, fellas? The wounded drunk finally passes out, and we see what Chad's plan was all along. He has hidden a set of keys in the heel of his shoe. Pretty resourceful on Chad's part, I've got to confess.
He's got a James Bond heel.
He does. It's like,
where'd you get those?
That took some doing, man.
I've never been able to find a pair of James
Bond
I'm
heels. Sure Chad has plenty of connections for that sort of shit.
Mr. C. Mr. Chad.
Isn't that exactly the same thing? Well, Leo had the new shoes, but I don't think it had the hinged heel, right? Like they just opened up the heel.
I don't think so.
They just had to like tear the shoes apart to get the cocaine out.
Yeah, I don't remember that part.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
He just boiled the shoes, and the shoes dissolved into cocaine. They were actually made out of cocaine.
Like Cheech and Chong driving in a minivan, or they weren't minivans, they were just vans in those days. A van made of weed.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, talk about an unlikely premise.
That's a good one, though.
A van made of weed?
Yeah, you could totally do that. A hemp van? Oh, yeah. We could do it. We can make it happen.
Where do you get metal? Where do you get metal from out of hemp?
No, but you'd have to have some kind of metal frame. But you could make the van out of hemp.
I mean, the frame would be fiberglass.
No, the frame you can make out of hemp. You could do it.
That couldn't hold an engine necessary to operate a vehicle like that.
That's what I'm saying. The metal frame, and then it's covered in hemp.
It's covered in hemp.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a hemp van, but like you still have a frame. Like a chassis would still be metal, but then the whole vehicle would still look like a van. It would just be made out of hemp. It could run on hemp oil.
Now that one I can believe.
I mean, I wouldn't believe on that.
Boy, are we getting distracted here, folks.
I'm just saying.
Just saying. It's plausible. Andy brings Mr. C in to see Lucy and introduce him to Sheriff Frank, who gets yet another opportunity to make his whole "I am his brother" speech. I've lost count. Is that 7 or 8?
I don't know. But here's my problem with this. And I feel like it kind of, I don't know. It doesn't really. I just feel like these characters should know Cooper better. This Cooper's weird.
There's a very specific scene that I will point out.
I know.
That's not too far.
I know, but
it can also be argued that Andy knows.
I feel like in this sequence when Andy brings him in with her and they're sitting there, he's weird, and I feel like they should gather that he's weird right there. And I get later on, yes, later on there are.
It's not all that later on. I mean, Frank.
It's
obviously
not all that later
clue,
on, but it's
because he's never met Cooper.
But like,
let me finish the recap
all right.
before we move on here. So Frank invites Mr. C into his office while Andy and Lucy exchange excited smiles. But Andy's smile fades, and he gets lost in his own thoughts, remembering a memory of a vision of him guiding Lucy to stand in front of an open doorway.
Yeah, but that's so lame.
And
I would.
But I'm saying so. Andy is.
I get that.
He's been programmed.
I get that. 100%. I get
so
that.
My argument is part of Andy already knows. That's him putting it together with like whatever base self that recognizes he was spoken to by like an extra dimensional.
That's fine. But she's psycho. She's weird to begin with.
Lucy is weird to begin with. Yes.
I think she would have seen right through him. She saw through all the other bullshit. Like,
she doesn't get a chance yet. She hasn't seen enough of him other than him speaking more slowly and having black eyes.
I just feel
which should be tipping everybody off.
Should have saw it way before the phone call. Anyway, whatever.
It's easy to mix these scenes up because like the editing really does become frantic here. I mean, especially for Lynch. When it comes to stuff like this, Lynch is someone who takes his time. But now that all of these storylines are finally colliding into the same place, we get like a lot of the fastest cuts that we've seen in the series. Like we get some spots where we're barely lingering 30 seconds before we cut again to like the jail cell or to Truman's office. And I think that gives that sense of momentum to things like building to a conclusion here. Was that something you noticed too, or is that?
I mean, it's just,
no?
I just feel like it's kind of standard run of the mill things.
I mean, for me, like,
it's pretty run of the mill story.
But like me doing the recaps the way I've been doing them, like with big paragraph breaks, like you definitely notice was like, okay, wow, he's changing scenes way fast here.
Well, right. There's a lot going on, but I feel like
there is.
If you watch, I mean, I watch a lot of shit. You watch a lot of shit. That just happens. That's when you converge storylines. That's just something that is the nature of the beast. So it's not like something that is out of the ordinary.
But it's not something that Lynch does very often, is what I'm saying.
Or handles very well.
I would argue that. I think
I know you would.
It flows pretty well.
I know you would.
That's what I'm here for. Meanwhile, Chad uses his stashed keys to free himself from his cell and sneak into the evidence locker. In Truman's office, Andy brings a chair to Mr. C and offers him a cup of coffee, which he politely declines. That is the biggest red flag that anybody who knows Cooper should ever see.
Yeah, but no, nothing, no close up, no kind of weird eyes, no kind of tell. Just
Yeah.
okay. That's every.
I think Andy does like pause for a second
That's
when he
fine, but
hears
it's
that.
just weird that like all of us have to experience it. Like we all know,
Mm.
and it's like you all should fucking know too. Well, maybe not Frank,
Oh,
but
come on.
fucking
There's plenty of shows that do that.
no. That's what I'm saying. There's plenty of shows that do that, but then they give you that. Oh yeah, that character noticed. We have no real. You could surmise that perhaps Andy gathered that, but like
Well, his
there's no.
subconscious does, but not
But like
his conscious.
there's
No.
no visual tell that in that sequence for us. It's just garbage
I
storytelling.
may
It's
be
it's
reaching, but I
garbage.
feel like I noticed a pause in Andy when
Okay,
Cooper said no
okay,
thanks.
sure. That's
So
sure.
that's
It's
me.
still visual garbage storytelling because there's like just no inclination. Like if there was a book written in this about this, I 100% would bet there's a paragraph like Andy notices that he doesn't like the coffee. Something's off. Like why
Mhm.
not cut a little close up of Andy being like, just something that's like it's like a little off. Like any good visual storyteller will give you. No? Because David Lynch doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit. He's creating art. He's not telling you a story. He's creating art.
It does kind of make me wonder if they filmed close-ups at that point. The backstage stuff, like this was one of the first times that I saw, or yeah, one of not the first, but one of the only few times that there is something in there that didn't make the final cut.
You know what also sucks about this?
So
And we can get into this a little bit because when they call for Hawk, we never get Hawk with this Cooper. We only get Hawk with the Cooper after he's already been outed. Like, so there's never a chance for Hawk to be like,
because Hawk would have seen immediately
exactly.
through him,
Why not have that? Why
because
can't
that would have jumped the gun.
it doesn't matter. We already know. The whole audience knows at this point. That's the problem. When you're chasing the characters, it's so obnoxious. Like I don't like like just fucking get on the uptake already. Like I already know that this is the bad guy. That's so I don't like that. It's like shit storytelling. It's not fun. It's like I like it if the characters are smarter than me. Like be smarter than me, but they're never definitely not Lynch's characters in this show. They're like so fucking it's that's what I'm saying. It's clumsy. It's complacent. It doesn't care. It's so aggravating like and yet I think that this could actually have been something really special. And that's what's aggravating as I watch it. So maybe I care about it a little bit because you made me suffer through it this entire time. So I've been sitting here like diagramming
Some of it is actually growing on you.
No,
Oh
but
my
I think
god.
I
That was
mean,
almost a backhanded compliment at the end of a
it's an
pretty
awful show.
vitriolic rant.
It's a pretty awful show. But like there are things that I do find endearing about it, and I wish that they had been addressed. And I think it's very like if you're like
And in an
I would like to
important
talk
way,
to a real Lynch fan, someone who's seen all of his stuff and what they really think about this. I would like to have a conversation with someone who really likes all of Lynch's stuff and what they honestly think about this because I find this so childish.
there
All the
is,
C words, baby.
I'm not going to lie, there is a lot about the return that I was disappointed in. And some of that is yet to come. Um, there was a lot that I didn't understand on first viewing. There was a lot I didn't understand on second viewing. I think I've mentioned in earlier episodes that after watching the finale, after watching part 18, I did not feel fulfilled
Okay.
by this. I did not feel
okay, but hold on this for a second. This is not going anywhere forward in this. Understanding the show is my least important thing. I don't need to understand
No,
or
and yeah, it
how it
wasn't just
works. But
understanding,
I
but there were
need
like,
to I need to know, I need to have investment in the characters and the stakes that they are in.
and
And
I did have that, and
there is never that in this show. There is never that.
I'm saying I had investment in the characters
No, well, I never.
because of my previous history with the series.
Sure, but I have that investment.
So my
Okay. I guess I do have that investment, and I want it to come forward, and I want it,
this
but it's not. It's
yes,
not. It's like
and this
the
this
wall.
is the
Episode
disappointment
one
in the
was the
series
wall.
that we share.
Episode one was the wall for the characters, and they never let those and like it did this whole other thing, and then
And that's
it's
the
very
point I'm making.
frustrating. It's
That's
very frustrating.
yes, that's the point I'm making. Is that's the disappointment in this series that you and I share, in
And
the
it's
return
not
in
good.
particular.
And it's not a step up. Like
It
I don't even think it's a step up. I think under the committee, those first two seasons way superior than this. Way superior.
I will not agree with you there.
100% agree. 100%.
I liked
100%.
I like the artistic indulgence of certain themes,
no
even the
artistic
ones that don't
indulgence.
relate. That's bullshit, and you know it.
There is an artistic.
But
There's indulgence, but I don't know if it's artistic. It's just indulgence.
art is what you make of it.
Well, that's true
That's
too.
subjective.
100%,
That's subjective. So
100%.
you can't argue that it is not art because that is not your call to
Well,
make.
it's better. Okay, it's better storytelling than the first two seasons. This season is garbage storytelling.
It's not as structured.
Well, I don't. You're right.
Ken, let's stop
Right.
hating and move on, if that's okay.
If you want to do that, I just feel like we're way.
I do want to do
All
that
right,
because
all right.
we're repeating criticisms now. So let's see Naito and her panicked cries as they awaken the drunk, while Chad fetches a gun and bullets from one of the lockers, and Cooper and Frank study each other from across the desk. The drunk begins violently tearing at the shitty bandage on his bloody cheek. Chad begins to load bullets into the gun, and Andy rushes down the hallway, briefly pausing to turn and yell at Lucy. Very important. Very important. This is really a lot of the pell-mell editing that I was talking about earlier. It moves a lot faster here. Chad pokes his head out of the doorway. James and Freddie are still distracted by Naito, and the drunk is busy poking his open wound. Suddenly, Andy bursts into the cell block looking for Hawk, and Chad immediately draws on him. He advances on Andy, hurling mocking insults that the drunk naturally repeats, before Freddy the Fist hears enough and uses his Hulk glove to smash open his cell door, striking Chad in the face and knocking him unconscious.
Here's an example, right here.
Freddy,
Storytelling.
yeah.
We already know Freddy. We already know his fist. So we know this is happening. We know the standoff is happening. We show Freddy. We show James. But then we keep cutting back to them lazily, like, oh, is he gonna do it? Like, let's not do that. Let's just let's just cut. Let's just like have the showdown, and then bam, it's like, oh, no shit. Like, I find some of the decisions here just so lazy and just like I roll my eyes at this
let's
like
clarify
fucking
here.
garbage fucking editing.
Let me interject. So these are editing decisions and not directing decisions that you're
right.
quantifying
100%.
as garbage.
But Lynch is also okaying this, so
yes, he's a big part of the editing process as well.
So I'm not.
But he is not alone in the editing.
I'm just saying, like, let's give us a hero moment, but he doesn't give us. They give us like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? And it's like
that is a hero moment.
No, just fucking. I want Andy to be like, oh shit, and then, like, I don't know, man. Like, it's
you wanted the fist to come out of nowhere.
But here's the other. No.
Would that have been more impactful?
No. Like, we just need the one time to recognize that he's there. The audience needs to know that he's there.
Cut to Freddy.
one
Cut to
moment,
him,
but
his hand
we don't
forming
need
into the
right,
fist.
but we don't need to ever cut back to it, and we keep cutting back to him. Like, is he gonna do it? And it's like we don't need to do that. Let's just keep the tension with Andy and Chad, Andy and Chad, and then it gets really or no, Andy's like scared, Chad gets like, la, 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 and bam, and it's like, what was that? And then we see him with the fist, and he did it, and it's just like that's way more interesting, way less fucking like just is it gonna? It's like it has a very 90s, 80s, late 80s style of television. Like, are we really trying to keep this? Like, I feel like Lynch is trying to push this forward, and I feel like the style of the television show is very anchored back in the old days, and it's just like there's a lot of that editing in this show, and I'm just like, can it be? We're not stupid. The audience isn't stupid anymore. We're not dumb. We don't need that feedback of like, is he gonna do it? Like, just do it. Just do it. We're not dumb. We've seen so many movies and television and like
All right.
stop
So
treating,
I'll be more
anyway.
I'll be more concise in my criticism.
Oh.
Oh. Uh, but I don't disagree that the way this scene was cut dragged it out longer than it should have been dragged out when the outcome was as obvious as it was. That's valid, 100%, in my opinion.
I don't care if it's dragged out, actually, Gabe. That's not like angst up the fucking guy who's bleeding out the mouth. Like, he could be even creepier and make like he could mimic those guys and make it creepy. Make the what's her name, Nadoi? No, I don't know what her name is. Nido. Make her like say get louder and louder and louder. Like do other things to make it aggravating and creepy and weird.
Well, she does that too. She's done a lot of that already.
They're doing it kind
of. And there's already the drunk.
They're doing it kind of, but like
the drunk is also a big really part of the making it creepy.
It's really like Chad and Green Fist Boy, and it's like One Punch Man, Freddy, whatever. One Punch Man, One Punch Man. Who knew that One Punch Man was going to be the savior of this episode? I don't know, man.
So, actually, I'll save that part of the discussion for later.
Yes.
But there's one of my biggest criticisms of the series is Freddy. For all of the reasons you're listing and more.
Just random character brought in.
He's not, I mean, he's not unlikable. But he gets a lot of important hero moments that don't feel earned. That feel like they should belong to other members of the original cast.
Have James off in his bike when he was off in
Where's
his
Bobby?
bike?
Where the fuck is Bobby?
Well, that's fine. But like,
I mean, he's kind of gotten some hero
let's say
time,
James
but not
goes
like
off.
Serious.
Maybe James goes off in his exploration.
I would love to see Bobby
scenes.
just like verbally tear Chad a new asshole too.
No, but why? How come James wasn't the guy that gets the arm? Like James goes off in his bike riding experience and comes
James
back.
is already cool.
He's already cool.
James gets the songwriting.
Oh my god! I'm just saying, why create another character? Why create another character that you could just give that power to one of the characters?
It seems like a very curious decision. I will 100% agree with you there. And we'll have plenty more to say about Freddy and his magic fist later.
One Punch Man?
Andy moves One Punch Man. Well, it takes more than one punch.
For Bob, but not for Chad.
Well, Chad's human.
That's right.
Speaking of Chad, Andy is quick to move to restrain him with handcuffs, but he's not going to waste the time dragging him back into a cell. He's got more important stuff to attend to. Back upstairs, Lucy receives a call from someone whose identity surprises her greatly. Aww. While Frank continues his conversation with Mr. C. Lucy breaks in with the call she's received. The sheriff asks that she take a message, but Lucy insists. Sure enough, it's real Cooper on the other line, on the road with the Mitchum brothers and their trio of pink-clad assistants. Poor Frank, however, has a terrible poker face, and Mr. C instantly realizes that the jig is up and whips out his gun, firing before Frank can even get his own weapon out. But the shot only knocks Frank's hat askew as Mr. C's aim was thrown off by the bullet he simultaneously received, fired by Lucy, parked outside the open doorway of Truman's office, just like in the vision. This was a genuine surprise to me. Who fires the final shot on Mr. C? And it ends up being Lucy, of all people.
Well, I knew it was either going to be Lucy or Andy.
You thought it was going to be one or the two of them.
Yeah, it had to have been.
Just based on Andy's vision.
Well, based on the vision,
Andy's
but also
experience.
based on the fact that he just wasn't, like, he wasn't going to beat.
You thought one of them would be the first to
Because
recognize.
there's no one else, and they hadn't gotten Hawk. I mean, Hawk.
So you didn't think Hawk would get that moment?
Who else is getting Hawk? Like, who was sent to get Hawk? I don't know.
Andy was.
Yeah,
Andy was
downstairs.
on his way to get Hawk. He was looking for Hawk in the cell block, and he got distracted by Chad.
I think...
We don't know where Hawk is.
I guess in retrospect, when I'm looking at it now, I wish the Lucy phone call, I wish it would have just had the voice. Like, sometimes the phone calls have the voice and they don't have the voice. And it's like, I wish it would have been, "Hi, Lucy, it's Coop," and she would have just dropped the phone and left. That would have been
it's something, and we're going back to the previous episode on this, but I don't think I pointed it out at the time. Something that struck me as lazy editing was when Cooper is on the phone with the Mitchum brothers, and they don't use the phone filter when they cut to the scene of the Mitchums on the other end.
Right.
That felt like lazy editing to me instead of a purposeful artistic choice. So there you go. Lynch is a god-awful filmmaker.
Maybe that was the artistic choice, not to use the phone filter, Gabe. Maybe that was the artistic choice. Sometimes that is the art.
Maybe. Maybe.
How can you blaspheme your favorite artist like this? No.
I never said Lynch was my favorite artist. You know who my favorite artist is.
I just think it would have been cool, like the phone picks up and she goes, "Hello," and it's like, "Lucy, it's Coop," and then she just drops the phone. And then you cut to him, and then maybe that would have made it too apparent. But I think like that's...
There was no question in anybody's mind. It was all about Lucy's reaction. That was all that scene was about.
I knew it was Coop on the other phone. I just wish
everybody knew it was Coop.
But why does it matter we hide it from her? I don't know.
No, why are we hiding it from the audience?
Right.
Yes. We're not hiding it from her.
Right.
Maybe because it's obvious. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know that it was necessary to hear Cooper's voice because, again, everybody already knows it.
Well, they even do the thing where she transfers the phone call to him. So, like, it's very important.
Because Frank...
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know. I don't see any problem with the way that progressed, personally.
It's not that bad. As everything that goes on in this whole sequence, this is, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine. Hearing the shot, Andy rounds up everyone in lockup, saying he's got to get them all upstairs. Frank gets back on the line to tell Cooper that Mr. C is dead, and Cooper frantically warns him not to touch the body. Andy arrives with James, Freddie, and Naito, where Lucy proudly informs Andy that she finally understands cellular phones, before Hawk rushes up behind her. Comic relief in the middle of this scene, I really don't know. That was another thing that kind of bothered me about this one.
That's been Twin Peaks all along, Gabe.
It has. The
comic
it's not out of
comes
character.
At the dumbest fucking times.
It's very much not out of character for Lucy, for sure.
No. So I expected
But good for her.
Yeah, it was... Yes.
That one epiphany leads to another.
But yeah, that's the show.
Andy hands Naito off to James before rushing out of the room, which suddenly begins to darken as the woodsmen make their appearance. The group stand transfixed as the woodsmen perform the same grisly ritual that they did when Ray shot Mr. C, smearing his blood all over his face and body. It's dark outside as well as the Cadillac containing Cooper and the Mitchums comes screaming up to the front door. Cooper immediately bolting out and running inside the station. Andy is right there to offer him directions into Truman's office, where he arrives just in time to see the Bob Orb. That's going to be a tricky one to say a lot.
Bob.
It's like Bob-omb. Bob-omb, but it's Bob Orb.
Bob.
Bob
Orb.
Orb. Anyway, that orb emerges from Mr. C's body, just like before. The Mitchums arrive in the doorway behind Andy, and time and space begin to distort as Bob attacks Cooper, knocking him to the ground. But you know, Freddy the Fist can't stand a bully, and he's got to speak up. Oi, it's his destiny.
Oi.
Sounds like he's British, not Australian. Anyway, Cooper seems to have been informed of Freddy's reputation, presumably by the firemen, and Freddy is ready to claim his destiny. Freddy. Crazy little green-clad fist. But Freddy may have bitten off more than he can chew as the Bob Orb violently turns its attack on him, also knocking him down and bloodying his face. But old Freddy musters up the gumption to fire off one of his pile driver punches, sending the orb flying to the ceiling and imbuing it with a look of shock. Lots of expressions out of the orb. I kind of wonder where all these shots came from. I don't recognize all of them from the original series, but that doesn't mean they weren't filmed for it. I mean, it's all archive footage of some sort. Freddy makes his way to his feet and gets off another good one, sending the orb to the ground where it remains immobile until Freddy lands a third blow that sends the orb crashing through the floor. A column of flame, literally into hell, a column of flame erupting from the hole that it creates. Wild, frantic shots of all the faces watching in the room before Freddy backs away from the hole and a red-hot, glowing orb emerges, renewing its attack. Freddy finds himself on the ground yet again as Cooper yells at him to get up, which he eventually does. What's his name? Oh, Burgess Meredith and Rocky. What's the guy's name? His trainer, Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey.
Yeah. Get up, Freddy. Get up. Yeah, Cooper is the Mickey to Freddy to Rocky here.
Which is lame.
It is lame because you want Cooper to be the one throwing those punches. Eventually, Freddy does regain his feet and lands one final shot, which shatters the orb into dozens of pieces that then float up and dissolve through the ceiling. Cooper congratulates an exhausted Freddy before making his way over to Mr. C's body and placing the Owl Cave ring on his finger. The body then fades away in front of everyone's eyes, and we watch the ring drop onto the zigzag pattern floor of the Red Room.
But it's not over. Dun, dun,
dun. No, we've got plenty of material left to cover. Should we get all the way to the end of the scene before you spew your hate, or it's more of the same criticisms here?
I don't know what other criticisms I have.
I mean, it's just it's a lot of there's repetition of imagery here.
I think
it's
just the same as you. I don't understand Freddy. Why was Freddy introduced late into the show, and why is he the hero of the show? It's so weird.
And why does this fight scene take so long?
Right?
Like, why isn't he just shattered immediately by the glove? Like, do we have to give... Like, I suppose, like, being a wrestling fan, I understand the notion of working from underneath, which is you got to believe that the hero can lose if there's going to be any true stakes to the fight. So I suppose One Punch Freddy putting Bob out with one punch just would have lacked any drama at all. Whereas, Freddy getting hammered before eventually winning the fight
I would just
kind of.
like I would have just liked to have been in on those hear those talks. Like, why is Freddy the one? Like, what was their thought process? Why do they see it that way? Why do they feel like the villain, one of the villains anyway, needs to be taken out? Or two
So here's an
villains,
interesting
really.
yeah. So here's an interesting parallel I'm going to draw. Yeah, if you count Chad as one of the villains, then
No,
yeah.
Chad, Mr. C, and Bob. So you
I'd,
take
I'd
out
say Lucy. Lucy's earned that.
no. Okay,
Lucy's an
she earns
OG.
that. Okay,
Yeah, that one's earned because that's Lucy. Lucy's got cred.
sure.
Freddie has no cred. No cred, Fred.
Are you
But yeah,
drinking beer tonight?
I've got cider. I was too lazy to go to the liquor store.
Mm-hmm.
I only had enough whiskey left for one Manhattan. So yeah. Anyway, the comparison I'm going to draw here is: did you read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King?
No.
Now that was another one that taught me, patience for long cliffhangers, because there were 7-year gaps in between books. And something similar happens in the final novel, as you have this last minute bench character making their way into a huge boss battle and being the deciding factor in it. And it feels very unearned. Like when you get invested in the hero's journey, the hero not being the one to claim the ultimate triumph is really kind of, I wouldn't necessarily call it poor storytelling, but it feels like a robbery. It feels like, characters that you've invested yourself in are being short shrifted. Is that the right term?
Short shifted. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're being sidelined in favor of someone who is not a proven draw, to use wrestling parlance.
Well, not only that, but in this is like we've been waiting for Coop to become awake. Like, okay, if I'm just going along with this storyline, regardless of what my feelings are towards it, I've been following this guy, dumb fucking his way through the world right now. He comes alive. He is Cooper with the FBI, and he's got to get to Twin Peaks. He gets to Twin Peaks, and he just stands there and lets this random dude we met in another episode do. It's just deflating. It's kind of a betrayal in a sense. It's kind of like it just deflates all your kind of like
it does. Yeah,
it's
it was
so
it was
unfair.
a huge letdown.
And I get it. Maybe Coop couldn't defeat him. But then you need to better integrate the Mickey character or the Mickey power or the Freddy power. You need to integrate the Freddy power or Freddy more into the story. You need to integrate that into the story that is like they become one at some point. They become friends, or they not just random dude in a prison just happens to be there. The fucking atomic bomb is just hanging out in the fucking jail. And when you get there, it's just so so lazy.
Scenes of Freddy's backstory would have helped instead of having Freddy's whole backstory be a speech on a loading dock.
Right.
Maybe a clip of Freddy just hanging out somewhere in the room with the firemen in those very early on episodes where Cooper's talking to the giant. Just him, just sitting on a bench somewhere, just not being spoken about, just kind of
this kind of all goes back to the thing where I don't think Coop should have been brainless Dougie for so long. I think he should.
Nobody thinks he does.
He should have gotten a little bit smarter and then gone on a journey cross country, and then befriended people. He could have befriended Mickey.
Dougie's Big Adventure.
Kind of. I mean, we joke about it, but we like adventures where people team up with people.
Mickey?
I don't know. I don't. What was the thing we did last with Mickey? No, there was a movie we brought up. Oh, Rocky.
Oh, Mickey.
So that's what I mean. The character has to start. He has a journey he has to go on, even if he's dumb at the beginning. he goes on it. Instead, they just kept him in Vegas and just waited for him to like fully mature. And that's fine. But like,
when we got that tease with when he fought Ice the Ice Pick or Ike the Ice Pick, we got that tease of real Cooper. Yeah.
Right. Why
and
not
we
grow
didn't
from
get,
that? Why not grow from that?
We didn't build on that. It was just that split second and it was gone.
I would have liked
unless that aided his sexual prowess or
the
something.
whole idea that he was an infant, like I brought up, that he was like being reborn, and then it took him time to like, maybe we didn't really need him to fully electrocute himself. Maybe he could have manifested himself through life experiences as he journeyed back to Twin Peaks, knowing that he had to get there. I kind of feel like that's more interesting. But whatever.
The ball of yarn
let's
approach,
do the
unraveling.
Let's do the whole. I mean, let's do that. Let's do the fucking gangster Vegas. Let's do all that because that's clearly the best. I don't know. That's just so. I mean, it's all random. It's fine. I feel like that's what I would have done. I would have had him go on a journey, and I would have had him come in contact with Jerry Horn. I think that would have been funny. Like, Jerry Horn would have been high and have
Jerry
no idea, and Dougie would have no idea. That would have been a fun episode. And then you have an interaction between these characters of the original episode. I don't know. There's so many That's what I think about this. That's what I think about this whole series. I think this whole series is a missed opportunities. And I think, I get it. Kyle MacLachlan wanted to stretch his legs and do something different. But is he really doing anything different? With
Mr. C, he is.
Kind of.
That's a very different character from Cooper.
But it's no different than the character he kind of plays in fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, say what you say.
That's different. That's very different.
It's not. It's different, but it's not. I think having interactions and actual interaction, because he doesn't really act a lot with people. He just kind of stands there and looks menacing, or he looks this way. Like, having conversations and interactions, that's what makes a character. Those are character moments, not just standing there and looking menacing while you try to kill somebody or fuck somebody. It's like there's more nuance.
I won't argue that he plays a better good guy than a bad guy. I'm far more interested in Cooper than I am in Mr. C.
I think he could play a great bad guy. I just don't think he plays a great bad guy in this at all. I think there's more nuance, and I just think I think taking an infant to a fully fledged Cooper would have been a fun journey to actually take him on. That's obviously, that has nothing to do with Kyle MacLachlan. That has to do with everything with Lynch and Frost. But I just think that would have been a way more interesting journey than what we got. So, but yeah.
Hey, man.
I just think
start writing your fan fiction.
Freddy is so like, what the fuck is Freddy? Freddy got fingered, baby. I don't know, dude.
Said he got fingers.
He got fingers, and he's gonna finger Bob, fist Bob.
Fist him right to death. Brutality.
But I get it. I'm with you. All right. Get it.
So, now that the orb is gone, the light comes back into the room. Cooper asks Frank for the room key to the Great Northern that was mailed back to Twin Peaks, Jade's third ride.
I had it? How did you know I had
it? Major Briggs told him.
That's right.
Maybe like the disembodied head. There's so much communication between Briggs and Gordon and Cooper that doesn't fit any of this timeline, and you're kind of wondering where it comes from. Because like from the time that Cooper and the Major spend within the lodges, that they've skipped across time in certain places.
It's Lynch and Frost being like, we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, okay.
They're like talking to each other.
There's a fair argument to be made.
They're talking to each other. They're like, we got to wrap it up.
But yeah, like they all have experience. Like there's the scene in Fire Walk with Me with Philip Jeffries, who is unstuck in time, as Vonnegut would put it.
We get some of that.
So we have to recognize, that time has no meaning to the entities of the lodge or to the people who get sucked inside of it. Much like the quantum realm. So yeah, it's difficult to know that like which version of the Major formed this plan. Like the Major that had spent time in the zone, was it Mr. C that made this plan with Gordon, and that's why it's all out of whack, and he doesn't know whether it's working or not? Or was this all? I mean, where did this fit in the timeline? That's very confusing, and it's not explained well. In support of your argument that this is bad storytelling. Briggs told him Sheriff Truman would have it. Outside, Gordon and the gang are just pulling up while Cooper looks over at Naito for the first time, and we see recognition dawning on his face. Hey, yeah, didn't you help save me from some weird outer space bell tower thing? At this point,
it's a kettle.
Kettle. No. Philip Jeffries is a kettle. Everything else has been a bell. Nothing else has the spout with the steam.
All right. None of them else have a kettle? All right.
Nope, just Philip has the spout. Anyway, at this point, an extreme close-up of Cooper's face is superimposed over the rest of the scene, remaining there for an extended period of time. Bobby arrives, giving Cooper a chance to start the story about the plan with him and Briggs and Gordon. Right on cue, Cole makes his way into the room with Albert and Tammy in tow. Cooper claims that some things are going to change, to which Hawk nods knowingly, and then Cooper says that the past dictates the future. Candy, Sandy, and Mandy arrive with baskets full of finger sandwiches, glad that they made so many. After Cooper offers Frank his regards for Harry, Naito rushes up to him and they touch hands. The eyeless woman's face dissolved into black smoke, showing a pattern of the red room behind her. A strange fleshy orb / seed opens up in its place, leaving her body behind in the real world. And then the face of Diane. That's a poor description of that, but I don't have really any other words
like
for it.
It looked like an open wound with like a bowling ball inside of it. Like, I don't know.
It was a lot weirder than the tulpas dissolving. Like, this was something else entirely.
Yeah.
But anyway, following up on our huge spoiler from last week, the face of Diane, the real Diane, appears. Cooper moves to kiss her, and you can see her hesitation, but then she gets into it when she realizes it's the real him. Her bobbed hair is bright red, and her fingernails are black and white, echoing the colors and patterns of the Red Room. Cooper asks Diane if she remembers everything, to which she replies in the affirmative. They turn to look at the clock, which is stuck on 2:53. Cooper takes Diane's hand, and the image of him that is still superimposed over the rest of the scene speaks in a slowed down voice. We live inside a dream. Suddenly, the room fades into blackness as Gordon and Cooper call out for each other, and all we can see is the ghost of Cooper's close-up. Then through it, we see Cooper, Diane, and Gordon emerge into a darkened room. We then find them in the strange area in the basement of the Great Northern, where James discovered the door that creeped him out. Cooper's ghostly close-up finally fades out of the picture when we zoom in on this door. Cooper makes his way up to it and uses the key he received to unlock it. He tells Diane and Gordon that he's going through it and not to follow him. He bids them farewell and looks back at Diane, saying, "See you at the curtain call." So the big question, what's with Cooper's face?
So I immediately in this whole situation just went to the U2 song, Stuck in a Moment and You Can't Get Out of It. And I don't know, that song just kept playing in my head while I was watching this entire scene. Like I don't know, like as you
I'm not familiar with that.
You don't know this? That's like a hit. Oh my god.
Okay. If that's post 90s U2, then I know nothing of it.
It's about 90s.
I tuned out after.
It might be 2001.
Yeah, no, I tuned out after Discotheque. That's when I dropped out.
That's the next album after that. The one with all the hits on it. With all the hits.
Beautiful Day. It was a beautiful day on that one.
Yeah.
That one I know.
So it's on that album.
Man, and I like 80s U2 a lot. Like Joshua Tree is a very important album.
They got this song called Stuck in a Moment that you can't get out of. And for some reason, that song just, he's like sitting there watching. I don't know what it is about it. Like, is it really happening? Is he there? He's there.
That's
But is
the
he
question,
watching
really?
all of it also? Is he dead? I don't know. I'm not quite sure what's going on. But that I just this song was like, I'm stuck in a moment that I can't get out of, is what was running through my head for some reason when I was like Coop was just stuck in a moment. I don't know. That's what I was thinking about.
So I'm going to go ahead and skip into something from the behind the scenes footage that I watched.
I will say
this is
this,
the thing-
Gabe. I don't mind any
Mhm.
of this. It's kind of fun. It's interesting. It like fits the theme. There's a lot
Okay,
of weird
yeah.
shit going on. It's like fine. It's like whatever. And I feel
Yeah.
like he's got a mission. He's got a mission he has to finish. The mission that we haven't got to yet is like, really? Okay.
Well, we've still got an episode yet to see how that mission turns out.
Yeah. It's just like, I didn't really think that this is where that was going to go. And it's like, we're still on this, huh? Of course we are.
Of course we are. It's the goose that laid the golden egg. So anyway, behind the scenes footage filming of this, they show Cooper giving his speech to the gang in the sheriff's station, where he tells them that he's going to miss them all, and it was very different. Cooper at that point says to everybody the "we live inside a dream" line, like he says that to the people assembled, and then he says, "I hope to see you all again in that dream." Those lines were filmed as part of the original series, but then this is what you get out of the final edit. So
I think he's sacrificing himself here for some reason in a weird way, but I don't really get it here. Like, I think that's what's trying to be, like, obviously what's going on with what happens going forward in this. He's trying to do something. He's trying to, like, I guess ultimately what Lynch is trying to do here is create a situation where none of this ever happened. But I guess we'll
is that
find out.
in like meta storytelling?
I feel like it, like it's trying.
Because there's like a lot of people,
it's trying
like
to,
the 4-hour guy, the 4-hour YouTube video guy's argument is that Twin Peaks is a show that realizes it's a show.
I don't know that.
I mean, I think there are meta references planted in it for sure, because meta storytelling is always a little fun.
It never breaks the wall, though. It never breaks the third
Yeah,
wall.
I don't think so.
It never looks at you and says, "Hey."
Yeah, it's not Deadpool, you know.
So I don't know if it's self-aware.
But there are definitely nods.
Way, but I do feel like there's, I don't know. I haven't seen the last episode. I will see the last.
I mean,
episode,
the we live inside a dream stuff is all of that is like where people find that. And like tying back to like the Monica Bellucci conversation, like we are the dreamer who dreams, but who is the dreamer?
Well, I would hope that is not about television and entertainment. I would hope that is a more existential thing and not so this. If it's this,
not the Saint Elsewhere approach.
No, I would rather it be grander and like not about the show.
Let's not forget that
entertainment. That's limited.
No, Saint Elsewhere wasn't the show that Frost worked on. Frost worked on Hill Street Blues. I think he may have written a couple of episodes of Saint Elsewhere, but he was never a showrunner on that one.
Are you saying that this last episode could really redeem the whole series for me?
Absolutely not. I am not saying that at all.
Oh.
So again, like,
look,
it's tough for me to emphasize.
Just throw like the biggest Hail Mary, just the biggest crazy fuckingness, wildest thing.
I mean, you're not going to have any. So, I think I should remind you at this point that Part 17 and Part 18 aired together as one episode.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, the finale was.
And 17 ends pretty well, though.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's by design.
Oh.
Because I mean, he wasn't necessarily certain that they would allow him to air it in those blocks. Like you can say the same about parts 1 and 2 as
No, I
well,
think one
which
ends
also
awful.
aired it. Oh, really?
Part 1 ends awful. I think 1 and 2 together
I don't
make
even
way.
remember where part 1 ends.
Well, I just feel like 1 and 2 are just a way better cohesive structure. Whereas this, I felt like, it ends. All right. I don't feel bad about it
I
right
honestly,
now.
so all of the discs on the DVD set, they give you the option to watch all of the parts on that disc edited together as one. And I honestly kind of want to go back and do that once we're done here.
Well, you're gonna have an extra week, Gabe.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to do it before the finale. But that would be something recreationally for me to do. Like, because again, like I'm fascinated, like if there was a way for me to watch it 18 hours straight, I mean, it wouldn't come to full 18 hours. I think it would probably be closer to like 16:30 or something like that. But like if that were somehow an option, I'd be curious to see how much different it felt.
I bet you $100 million I could cut this down to like a 3.5 hour film, and it would be
Yeah,
fucking
and
sick. Everyone would
we've
be
had
like,
that
"Holy
conversation before.
fuck, dude, that blew my mind." I would need a bunch of people working under me. I would need
Yeah,
you to work for me, Gabe.
it would take a crew.
I would need you.
Yeah, well, I got a rate.
Yeah, well, so do I. So it's not happening.
Gabe don't work for free.
Not even for your
So,
love. Anyway, let's
Nutty.
get on to it. Let's wrap this fucker up.
Yeah. Closing the door behind him, Cooper walks forward into the darkness, his face illuminated by a single overhead light. From the other side of that darkness, another figure approaches. It's Mike, the one-armed man. In a normal forward voice, Mike recites the poem that started this whole goddamn mess in the first place. Through the darkness of future past, the magician longs to see. One chance out between two worlds, fire walk with me. Electricity zaps, and Cooper and Mike find themselves walking down the same hallway that a woodsman led Mr. C down after he accessed the space above the convenience store. They reach the stairs at the end, stepping in unison as they make their way up. After they reach the top, another zap and smash cut to a weird camera shot that shows the jumping man, he of the white face and the long nose, making his way down the stairs. Mike and Cooper emerge into the courtyard and make their way into Philip Jeffries' room. Cooper seems to somehow recognize the sentient teapot, and the steam coming from it asks him, "Please be specific." Cooper gives him a date, February 23rd, 1989, the night that Laura Palmer died. In between some odd non sequiturs, Jeffries tells Cooper that it's good to see him again, and also asks him to say hello to Gordon, whom he says will remember the, quote, unofficial version.
But also, doesn't he say if you see him again?
I want to say he says when, but it might be if. Yeah. Philip then tells Cooper ominously, "This is where you'll find Judy." From the steam pouring from Jeffries' spout emerges the pattern from Owl Cave, the same one that appears on the ring. It slowly morphs into a figure 8, and in the bottom right quadrant, a black ball appears. The figure 8 spins 180 degrees in the air, placing the black ball on the left, but it then slowly slides back to the right into its original position. Jeffries then tells Cooper, "You can go in now." Mike says a single word, electricity. And there's lots of zapping and shaky cameras until we come to rest on Cooper, eyes closed. We hear the sound of the ceiling fan in the Palmer home, that ominous harbinger of doom. And the picture fades into black and white before Cooper fades out entirely, and we get a brief shot of the fan in question. I first thought the noise was the flapping of owls' wings, but maybe there's a conjunction that can be drawn between the two of those. I don't know how similar they might be.
Helicopters from in Vietnam.
But
Oh wait, this is not a Vietnam story? My bad.
it's not. So, any theories on the symbology of any of this at all?
No, I think my only thing was that I just thought, like, when he said if you see Gordon again, I thought that I think Cooper is dead at this point, or he's just not. He's probably never going to come back. I think
He's going to be
if.
like Jeffries.
I feel like it's an if. I mean, I'd have to go back. I mean, I just watched it like a couple hours ago. I swear he said if, but I just.
And like I said, I'm not convinced that you're wrong.
And I just feel like I feel like Coop's on a one-way mission.
Yeah, that's the impression that he gives off, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, so his leaving of Janie E and Sonny Jim does feel a little more poignant now. Because I mean, if he knows it now, he knew it then.
What is? I don't know the symbology of the situation. I don't know. I wasn't really gathering any kind.
Well,
of
like
intel.
the things that I still don't understand are like the jumping man, like coming down the stairs at the same time they're going up. I don't know what that means. I have no. What's he doing in there? We know he's one of the bad guys, but we don't know why or what he does. The notion of the figure 8, like, kind of, it all just like seems like something unlocking the way it moves around like that. But like, yeah, I don't know what to make of that at all.
I think I can't really say. I think I'm gonna go with the fact that just like Gordon is giving himself over to this, and that
Cooper,
sorry, is giving himself over to this, and that he's there. He's gonna be there. He's just there.
There are a couple of other things that like Jeffrey says that are kind of cryptic that I didn't necessarily quote verbatim just because that makes it longer. But he says something about like there might be somebody else. Did you ask me that already? Or, something along those lines. Something that tells you that Jeffries doesn't necessarily experience time in a linear fashion anymore either.
I guess I was looking at the 8 the entire time I was looking at the 8. I was just thinking like, oh, is it going to become an infinity sign, or is it going to do some of that kind of weird nonsense, or maybe it is an infinity sign and it's not an 8, and Coop's going to be stuck there forever. I don't know. Or it's
that's a concern.
It's a cycle. I don't know.
Lynch is big on cycles, isn't he?
So I don't know.
Anyway, after we see the fan, we find ourselves in a familiar scene. Laura Palmer sneaking out of her house and hopping on to James's bike as a possessed Leland intensely looks on from the upstairs window. We get an extended replay of some scenes from Fire Walk With Me, specifically the ones that show James and Laura's last night together.
Pretty hot.
Or should we call this
pretty sexy?
She looks good, not gonna lie. But I think we could now consider this a remix, as there's a new ingredient. Cooper blinks into the forest, perched behind a log. He's now traveled through time.
He's a creeper.
Remember in the movie how Laura randomly screamed over James's shoulder? Well, surprise retcon. That's because Cooper was back there in the trees hiding, and she could see him all along. We continue to replay the scene from the movie all the way through to the point where Laura hops off of James's bike when they're stopped at the red light, screaming that she loves him before running away into the forest to meet her fate. We cut to a
Yeah.
brief cameo
Yeah.
from 80s Jacques, Leo, and Ronette waiting
Leo,
by
baby!
Leo's red Corvette.
Still
You can't tell it's
alive.
red now, though.
Keeping the dream alive. He's still
Keeping the dream
I
alive.
mean, it's old.
He hasn't aged a day.
He hasn't aged a day.
They're
Still
just
getting
hanging out on a back road, smoking and drinking and looking bored.
I mean, this is pre getting eaten by spiders, but let's,
Right. And yeah, it looks like they're going to stay bored because Laura is going to meet a different fate now, thanks to Cooper's intervention. He stands in her path in the forest, remaining silent, like some kind of, I don't know, golem. When she realizes out loud that she recognizes him from her dreams, he reaches his hand out to her, and she slowly walks up and takes it. When she does, we cut to another time, another place, where the body of a young woman wrapped in plastic has washed up on the rocky shore of Washington River. And before our eyes, the body blinks out of existence.
What?
Cut back to Cooper and Laura, a picture that now gently fades back into color. She quietly asks, "Where are we going?" And Cooper's reply is, "We're going home." While the original theme plays in the background, we get more vintage material as we cut to the opening scenes from the original pilot, beginning with Josie putting on her makeup in the mirror and Pete bidding frigid Catherine a farewell before he heads out to go fishing.
So I never understood. I never realized. Okay, the original, that where they found her behind that rock was right by his house. How did I miss that?
Just right there.
I don't ever remember seeing a shot of that.
Because it's not in widescreen.
I don't think we ever see that. Like we always.
Yeah,
see
I don't
the
think
rock.
there's a widescreen version of the pilot, unless maybe you see it in the international cut.
I just never remember. I never
Because that was clearly old footage. Like that was very
yeah.
obviously old footage.
But I just never. I don't ever remember seeing. I always thought that shot was out on a peninsula or out away from a house. I didn't.
Yeah,
and oh, it's right there. Like what?
Yeah, there's not. And it might even be from Fire Walk with Me. That might be worth looking back on. But yeah, it's a widescreen shot, and if I recall, like the pilot episode being the 4:3 ratio, like you can see Pete and you can see the shore, but you can't see the house behind him. That's what's cut out of the shot. So yeah, this makes it a lot more obvious that those
right there,
how close. Yeah,
Josie
right
killed
there.
her the entire time.
Just left her out back
in the
backyard.
To hear from, you gonna find it? You gonna find her? Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, as we all know, the Martell home sits on the same shore that the body was discovered at. But on this morning, there is no body for Pete to walk past. He makes his way down to his favorite pier, and a stand-in casts a rod, while Josie looks on from her window. Cut to a scene of Sarah's living room in the here and now, we think. Given the unearthly wailing screams that we can hear, it sounds like something truly awful is happening. But all we're getting is a still shot of the ancient couch with Laura's senior portrait perched on the coffee table next to it, alongside an overflowing ashtray. Eventually, Sarah makes her way into the room, though we're never able to see her face. She snatches the portrait from the table, throwing it across the room onto the floor and stabbing it repeatedly with a broken glass bottle while continuing to make horrible noises. The frame shatters, but the portrait itself remains undamaged despite the numerous blows. So again, what the fuck does this mean? So let's piece together what we know about Sarah. Sarah was watching loops of violence.
Well, she has the
just
monster
constantly drinking. She has a monster inside of her.
The jumping locust monster
that climbed into her when she was a little girl. That was like born of Judy. We've seen this thing inside of her do awful things through her when she killed the dude in the bar.
Well, she's been complicit in all the shit that happened in the original Twin Peaks. So, like, with all the Leland stuff, she just kind of just quietly shut down.
Yeah. Well, she was also drugged, but
why was not,
there were enough red flags for her to act.
Why isn't that not part of the monster? You know, I don't know. Like, why now? Why? So back then, yes, we're thinking like, yes, this is drugs, but now with this thing,
now it might be just the spirits acting in conjunction,
just being like, you know, you're just a puppet creature.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, so these spiritual parasites from the Black Lodge, like Bob being an example, when he possesses Leland, they feed on pain and suffering and on that sort of negative energy is the implication. The Garmin Boja.
I guess the real question is Laura the ultimate demon born of two awful entities?
No, because we saw the firemen send Laura's spirit down as the golden orb. But remember that gold is also the color of the Garmin Boja that these creatures feed on.
We did see that. I'm just saying, like, you know, like,
I mean, you're close to what the prevailing theory is.
Sarah is an awful character, and Leland was possessed by an awful character, and Bob was fucking...
Sarah and Leland are both possessed by demons that feed on pain and suffering.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they bore a character that's based on a show that is based around pain and suffering. So maybe it is way more meta. We are just here to suffer. Laura Palmer.
The evil spirits of Twin Peaks feed on our suffering.
Yes,
through this terrible story.
Laura Palmer. Well, I didn't say terrible. I just said because of Laura Palmer.
I mean, we're coming close to what the ultimate, like, there's a prevailing theory among fans as to what the plan is, the fireman's plan.
That nothing really matters.
And the fireman's plan is very different from Cole and the Major and Cooper's plan.
Oh, really? There's
two
differing plans.
You have to think of those three men as agents of the firemen. Like, they are pawns of the firemen, and like he has given them information to act on. But and the plan that they formulate is part of his plan. But yeah, wheels within wheels here. At least that's the prevailing theory. Again, none of this is actually explained, but lots of people have their thoughts. So this scene in particular, where Sarah is freaking out and smashing the portrait, we'll come back to this next episode as part of the prevailing theory. So time gets all weird again, reversing and skipping, and eventually cutting to black before we fade back into Cooper leading Laura by the hand through the darkened forest. We get a glimpse of their presumed destination, the fireman's portal, and Cooper offers reassuring looks back at Laura. The camera continues to close on Cooper, and on his fourth glance back, it pulls back out to show that Laura is gone, her hand having left his grasp. We hear a scratching sound, the same scratching sound that the fireman played Cooper on the phonograph in the beginning episodes. We hear a scream, the same scream that the aged Laura's spirit made when she disappeared out of the Red Room in the earlier episodes. Cooper looks both puzzled and distressed as he stares out into the darkened forest, which slowly fades into the red curtains of the Roadhouse stage for one last show. This one is by OG series veteran Julie Cruz. And over the credits, she performs one of the same songs that she played at the Roadhouse on the night that Maddie Ferguson died. This is another Badalamenti Lynch composition called The World Spins. At the very end of the credits, Lynch dedicates this episode to his old friend Jack Nance, the actor who played Pete Martell. So, what do you make of this? Utter silence. Ooh,
Utter silence.
speechless for
Complete
seconds.
silence. I don't really have anything of. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know.
So the most frequent comparison here is drawn to the Greek myth of Orpheus and Euripides, which is Orpheus is leading Euripides out of Hades. He is promised by the gods the power to do this as long as he doesn't look back at her during this trip. He just has to maintain faith that it's her holding his hand throughout the journey. And eventually he does look back and she is lost back to Hades.
Yeah, but that doesn't count because like he's looking at her when she comes to him. Like she's sitting there, she's like he's looking.
Yeah, but he looks back at her multiple times, but it's a reference to that myth, is what most people believe.
Let's throw that one away. That's garbage. Hey, everyone, let's throw that myth away. That's garbage. Come on, find something better.
Okay. So these links to the early episode, what do you make of them? The noises. Okay. Oh, there is one.
I don't really know if I really gauge anything from this. I just feel like he's. I guess my thought initially through the whole thing was, you can't really change something that's been written. Like this is. This is it. Like she died. You can change the way she died, but she's not supposed to be there. That's all I took it as. Like
that he's fighting nature and nature's fighting back.
Fighting nature or whatever you want to talk about it. He's like trying to do something it's written. Like that's fine that you.
So let me go back to something.
Well, here's the other thing. It's like this is like the surprise. All of this, like this whole like going back to Laura thing. It's like wow. I was not even expecting this. Like I was expecting us to kind of like wrap up the kind of like this whole like delving back into this was like
right. You just thought the ultimate goal was to defeat Bob and put Mr. C back in the Black Lodge
and like get Cooper back to somehow and like kind of the whole fact that we're like spending this extra time on Laura and it's like, well,
Laura is the one.
Laura's been dead for a long fucking time, and everyone.
Time has no meaning here.
I know time has no meaning, but like everyone's moved on at this point. Like,
have they? Sarah hasn't.
Well, Sarah hasn't. You're right. That's weird, but that's a demon.
But
that's a demon.
Right.
That is a demon
perpetually feeding
on
her pain and suffering.
So, like, if you were to bring her back, it's just going to feed on her some more. So, like, I just feel like...
Feed on who? Not on Sarah.
No, Sarah's going to feed on...
Because her pain and suffering is caused by...
No, Sarah is going to feed on Laura.
Ah, I see. Sarah would cause Laura pain and suffering to create that.
Yeah, so like, bringing Laura back is just going to cause Sarah to, like, feed on her again. Like, so Sarah is suffering because she has nothing. Like, she's...
So, yes... But the demon is feeding on Sarah now, as opposed to...
Right, but it's killing itself, basically. It's ultimately killing itself. Or one would hope, anyway. I don't know.
And that's why it needs... Yeah.
All I'm saying is, this idea that Cooper is trying to undo what has been done seems like this weird... Like, it's a weird take for this show to take. Like, it's like... It's taking this, like, really kind of... righteous, I don't know, like this very superhero path that it never really was on.
There's a lot of argument that Cooper's biggest flaw is his white knight syndrome.
And that's fine, but he can't save her, and the fact that he's trying to save her now is wild.
So
After
that
all
was
this
what
time?
Leland asked him to do that before he exited the Red Room.
It's
Remember
true,
that?
It's true.
So, okay, what do you think the fireman's plan is? Like, what is the fireman's ultimate goal here? And does Cooper truly know what it is?
Okay, you're gonna have to excuse me. I don't understand the whole fireman thing. Like, what do you?
The fireman is the giant.
Oh, the giant.
Yeah.
I mean, we see the giant in this episode, but he doesn't really say anything. I don't know what his agenda is.
His job is to steer Mr. C away from his ultimate goal. Because when you're in the theater, you see that the screen changes to the Palmer house. And that's where Judy is, as far as we know. Or that's the easiest access point to Judy
he's
right
keeping
now.
Mr. C away from that other demon?
Right. Because remember, if they unite, it's the end of the world.
Is it?
That's the implication.
But who implied that?
That's if you understand the Sumerian mythology.
Yes. Through reading texts on
Yes.
the outside of the show. But where in the show did it actually illustrate that? Nowhere.
All right. So that might just as well be fan fiction. But
I guess that's what I'm trying to
it's the closest we're going to get to an explanation, is what I'm saying.
But it might not ever be that. Like,
it might not be that.
I mean, you have a 50-50 that it's that or not that, you know?
Or
it's probably less than
it could. It really could go either way.
I guess I'm...
But you are genuinely curious to see how it turns out at this point.
Oh, I'm very curious because this is like a complete like monkey wrench in the whole.
Yeah.
Oh, we're killing them all right now. It's like, well, what's the next episode? Everyone just says hi and kisses to Cooper. Like, hi, I love you, goodbye.
Well, okay, so let's think about the stuff that the giant told him.
1 p.m. on a Friday. I'm driving out of Twin Peaks. I just had a great coffee and a donut, and I'm heading back to Seattle. It's like, and that would be great. In my opinion, that would be awesome if that's how it wrapped up.
If that's how it wrapped up,
like it starts the same way it leaves the same way it starts. I think that would be fucking brilliant. As a filmmaker, that's what I would fucking do. That's not what Lynch is gonna do, and I have no idea what's gonna happen here. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think anybody accurately predicted where this was going to go.
Yeah, I did not see the Laura Palmer whole angle playing back into this. So,
but yeah, I mean, it's
especially since they didn't tease or do anything about it. So, like,
I will say, like, before we get to the last part, it might help you to, at the very least, go back and watch that first scene between Cooper and the giant, the black and white one, when they're in like that weird green room or whatever. Check out all the stuff the giant says to him.
In what, episode 13 or something?
No, like episode 1.
Oh, way back.
Yeah. Like before Cooper even exits. The giant tells him...
The Nine Snails episode.
No.
You've seen season...
Episode 1 of The Return. Part 1 of The Return.
The Giant's it. I don't remember that. All right.
Jesus.
I don't remember that. The Giant's in there?
Yeah. Yes. And he says a lot of important shit.
What does he say, Gabe?
I'd have to go back for all the specifics, but he talks about 430 and Richard and Linda. That's where he's playing the phonograph and saying, it is in our house now. He's talking to Cooper. This is before Cooper gets out of the Red Room.
Gotcha. No, I remember this now. I just remember the giant being in there. I remember like the brain tree and the arm.
Yeah, there's that.
One-arm man. And
the giant is only there in black and white.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of the stuff he says in that episode comes back and ties back into everything here.
So you're saying I could have watched the first episode and the last episode and been good?
No.
Probably could have been. Probably.
I mean, that's like saying if you read the first page and the last page of a book, do you understand the whole book?
I mean,
you can get some of it.
Sometimes.
If it's a shitty book.
Or if it's a really good book.
I wouldn't say that's a good book.
The Bible. I can get first and last page. I can pretty much get it.
That's the good book.
That's the good book.
So behind the scenes, this episode of actually it's called Behind the Curtain, I think. Part 17, we spend exclusively on the scene in Truman's office. They filmed the scene over 4 days, March 14th through, well, it looks like they took a day off. So yeah, it was March 14th, 2016 through March 18th, 2016. So they film it pretty much in chronological order from that point. So as each day goes on, more cast are being added to the room. So the second day of shooting is when the Mitchums show up. And Lynch warns them at that point. He's like, yeah, you're not going to have a lot to do. You're just going to mostly be standing and watching. It's going to be a long, boring day. But he thanks them both profusely for being there for that. And he's just like, yeah, this is going to be very easy. But and then, oh no, it's 5 days of shooting. Excuse me. We do have filming on the 17th as well. The 17th is when we add the FBI gang and the Pink Girls. And then the 18th is when Diane finally shows up. So the fun stuff is Lynch directing Kemi Robertson, Lucy. The way he's explaining it to her is like, you don't really realize until after you've shot what you've done. But after that, like knowing that you took out the bad guy, you're kind of thrilled by it. So like there's a lot of him coaching her look as she slowly lowers the gun. They spend a lot of time on that. Again, Lynch working on makeup and special effects himself. He applies the blood to Kyle after Mr. Sheet, or like the blood on his stomach when the woodsmen are working on him. And then these super shaky, freaky lit close-ups that you see during this scene. You see Lynch filming those himself with a handheld digital camera. Just like, like that would typically would be for still shots. But you just kind of see him doing this with it for the footage.
Yes.
Kind of, yeah. Like he does when he's writing. When
how I write.
No. I don't know how you write. I was going to make a joke, but...
More like this.
I don't know what that means. Are you sprinkling cocaine on a
Yes.
mirrored surface?
Yes. On a naked
Because I'm pretty sure that's how Lynch did it in the 80s. When directing the cast about the woodsman, he says, you sort of see them, you sort of don't. So I thought that was interesting. During the scenes where...
Just keep squinting.
Yeah, just keep squinting. They show them putting like a big foam border around the camera for the scenes where it's like zooming in on Freddy punching it. There's a lot of that, a lot of them practicing Freddy's punches to try and make sure that they don't damage the camera. And eventually they break the camera anyway.
Yeah.
The acrylic shield, the cameraman examines it and goes, the lens is fine. It's okay. The lens is fine. But yeah, so they went all out for just that one shot or I guess there's 3 or 4 of those of Freddy punching. But yeah, I just tried to scroll a piece of paper.
That's funny.
It's not funny. It's sad.
No, the camera, not your scrolling piece of paper.
Okay.
Camera. Sorry.
Yes.
Relax, Gabe. I'm not attacking you. Relax, calm down. Let me soothe those shoulders.
Oh no, it's worse that it's sad. If it were only funny, then I'd be happy. But that's sad.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've made you so angsty. I apologize.
Man. But yes, it was a lot of fun to watch them work that scene. The day after that, Lynch applies the effects by himself around the hole that Freddy punches the orb through.
Yes, the fire hole.
Yeah, so he adds there is Garmin Boja around it. So you see him like using his hands to place raw eggs and then creamed corn and then like some ash or some soot or something to give it the black streaks in it.
We see none of that in the episode in this scene.
No, you don't really notice it. And he probably took hours out of.
We see the awful fire that comes out of the hole, but we see none of the cool of that. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, so to watch him spend so much time on that detail, knowing that it never makes the shot.
It's like in The Sword and the Gun. We did this thing where Bryn falls into the garage topless, and I walk in and I cut the head off a sweeper, and I cut the head off, shing, and the blood squirter shoots just copious amounts of green blood all over her tits. And that's what you're looking at. But when I cut the head off the dude, there's this great beheading that happens, and we bought this raw fillet of chicken, and we affixed it to this plastic bag,
Mm-hmm.
and then Nick Vaughn, my friend, made sure that there's a little piece of bone in the middle. It looked like a vertebrae. So then, and when we affixed it to Matt's head, it looks like this fleshy thing. So when we cut it, the head comes off. There's this shot before it shoots the blood out. You see this like fleshy thing, but no one pays it. No one cares about that. No one gives a shit about that. Everyone cares about the blood hitting the breasts, and there you go. But no one knows that we used a chicken breast with some bone on Matt's head that looks like actual neck flesh. I don't know.
Yeah.
Those are the things
no,
you work on. And that probably took him like an hour.
Effects. Yeah.
Yeah. No one cares.
Yeah, and it was very cheap.
No one cares. But it's fun.
I've never seen that footage, so
Yeah, it's in the movie.
I
So,
only watched the scene I was in.
Oh.
Because you never where did you release the movie?
I don't know if you were ever in that movie. Were you in that movie? I don't think you were in that movie.
Oh no, that was Chromium Doll.
I can send you a link. Do you have a YouTube account?
Yeah.
If you can log into
Actually,
YouTube,
you might have.
If you have a YouTube, so here I can send you a private.
You might have
link.
sent me that link already.
No, probably not. I
At
can
some
send
point.
you the link of the film. You have to log into YouTube to watch it though, because it's private.
I'm always logged in. Yeah.
Always logged in. I'm always logged. I'm locked and loaded, bro.
Damn right.
Yeah, I can send that to you.
That algorithm knows everything I watch on YouTube. It is 90% wrestling videos.
Oh,
Most
of that movie.
My
is wrestling.
YouTube diet. Yeah. Most of my YouTube diet is wrestling videos and British comedy. That's about the extent of it.
I watch pretty much everything on YouTube. It's like that is my TV.
There's some video game like stuff I watch occasionally, like Watch Mojo lists or whatever.
Anyway, I shared my
But not
behind
podcasts.
the scene.
Podcasts are shit.
I shared my behind the scenes story that pertained.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no.
I'd like.
Yeah.
Is there a commentary track for Sword and Gun?
There's a lot of things I would like to have in Sword and the Gun. In fact, the
Should
movie. Oh, Gabe, hold on a second.
Let's do a commentary track for Fall of Spring.
Well, that would be
like a
fun.
20th anniversary commentary track.
We should actually.
I would love to do that.
But the movie I was talking to you about was the movie that takes Sword and the Gun and is it a dream or not?
Yes. Okay.
So that,
Yeah.
because we never released Sword in the Gun, and so the film would exist in this like real life situation. And
Right.
you would
Yeah. I
be
remember this
you would be
discussion.
my best friend / filmmaker, and we would have a discussion, and we would have 3 discussions. Like, oh yeah, I'm super supportive. Yeah, maybe not. And then at the end, like, maybe you shouldn't do this, man. Maybe you should just stick to what you know. You know, there'd be 3 kind of stage discussions of like the kind of. Anyway,
Yeah.
this is where I'm trying to bring back that movie. I'm still 100% into that movie. Yeah, I love that we're talking about this here. Anyway, but
On camera. Yeah.
on camera,
As part of the episode.
so that Gabe can just use it against me. Remember when we talked about this? Anyway, no, but this is kind of that. That's the story. So this is that movie.
Yeah,
This is
meta-
that movie. So
meta
you should actually watch it and just kind of see how awful and also how awesome it is. It's awesome and also awful. It's 2 things. Anyway,
It can be 2 things.
yeah.
I've seen lots of movies that I thought were awesome and awful at the same time.
Both things can be true.
They can. They absolutely can. Like Twin Peaks.
Anyway,
It can be awesome and awful at the same time,
Yes.
depending on who's viewing it. The very last day of filming this scene, like I said, was when they brought Diane in. They showed some cool blue screen stuff about how they made that transition between Naito and Diane. Lots of them aligning the shot in like directions. Okay, now tilt your chin back just a little bit. Okay, a little to the left. Okay, now make your neck shorter. Which everybody kind of giggles at. And it's, again, you can just tell everybody's having a great time. So this last day of filming in Truman's office is a wrap on several characters. It is a wrap on Frank. It is a wrap on Mandy, Sandy, and Candy. And it is a wrap on the Mitchum brothers. And yeah. And so we do get a quick little speech from Jim Belushi, who has just as high praise for the cast as everybody else who has talked to them directly. And he makes the joke. He's Belushi is always joking. Like whenever you,
no.
and I think that's just
Belushi is always on. They're like never off. Yes.
Right. I mean, yeah. So always joking, and like his farewell speech, his joke is, "I just got to thank David because apparently I'm the only person who received the entire script, and I know everything that happens. But if you ask me, I'm not going to tell you anything."
Right.
So I think I may have told the story earlier from one of the backstage documentaries where it was Dana Ashbrook talking about Belushi working with them, and this would have had to have been the scene because that would be the only scene that they share. And Belushi trying to ad lib during the scene, like making some kind of comedic comment, and immediately after he ad libs, Lynch calls cut and gets on the megaphone and says, "Mr. Belushi, do I need to send you to the principal's office?" And Belushi gets the hint, and he's like, "No, sir, we've got no problem." And everybody has a good laugh. All right, then, let's take it again from the top. So that was how Belushi learned not to ad lib on a Lynch set, apparently.
I'd keep ad libbing if I was Belushi.
I gotta imagine that there's at least some of it that he did let him do.
I imagine there is.
Because I'm pretty certain at this point that Belushi was the second choice to Paul Giamatti, and that Bradley is the role that Giamatti was supposed to play.
I guess, but at the same time, it's like
I could see him being the other one too.
Belushi, I don't really.
I could
mind.
see him and Belushi being brothers.
I think it's funny, like.
Yeah,
because,
no,
because of how, like,
he's good for what he does.
How not. Like, the show does not take itself that seriously. I think Belushi's fine in it. I think he's...
Yeah. He's not over the top in any given way.
I could actually see...
Like, his performance fits the material given very well.
If Giamatti had played his brother, I could see them matching energies and that being more chaotic and fun, actually.
You know, I think I agree with you. I think I would have rather have seen the Giamatti and Belushi pairing.
Because they could have been like... Because the other dude plays it really straight. and it's
Robert
fine.
Knepper, I think is his name.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's very much your Scorsese gangster.
and Giamatti
He
can do
really
that,
feels like,
but I feel like
yeah,
Giamatti could do that and then also just turn on a dime and like fucking be quirky as fuck in the same character. And I think that would have
yes,
been cool to see. Whereas, like,
yeah,
because Giamatti is so multifaceted, like he's such a
hmm,
fucking good actor. Like it,
yeah,
like having someone like Belushi as like your puppet guy, and then like you are just the guy, and like you kind of like ha ha ha, or like and then like and then like I don't know. That could have been really fun actually, but
yeah.
oh well. Giamatti's got to go hunt for Bigfoot and Loch Ness monsters. Do you listen to his podcast?
No.
Oh my god, that guy's fun, dude. You should check out his shit because he's into aliens and Bigfoot. He's into sci-fi. It's wild. And then
I don't know how many celebrities I want to get into the heads of at this point, because somebody's going to say something that disappoints me.
No, but he's a fun one to get in the head of because he's an honest and cool dude, and then he's just weird. It's great.
I did start listening to the Eric Andre podcast recently.
See, I'm not going to do that, but okay.
You don't like Eric Andre?
Eric Andre is fine, but I just know what I'm going to get there, so I'm not like too worried about it.
Are you sure? Yeah, I mean, part of his gimmick is his unpredictability.
I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to get into with that guy. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
I'm curious about Paul Giamatti's head. Like, that's a height I want to know about. And then his head is goofy and weird.
Being Paul Giamatti.
But he's also really well read. So he's smart. He's a smart motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know the first thing I saw him in? Private Parts.
Private Parts.
The Howard Stern biography.
God, that might be the first thing I've seen him in. I'd have to go back, but I remember I saw that movie in the theater.
Yeah,
Is that
me
like
too.
His first movie?
Giamatti's first movie?
It might be one of his first
movies. I don't know.
movies.
It was probably early in his career because it was mid-90s for sure.
Wow, we're really going off. Gabe. We should do this in the
after. We are way off.
It's not the after.
Why not, man?
Not the after talk yet.
I mean, we're done with the episode.
Giamatti
everybody who was interested
Giamatti was supposedly supposed to be in this series, but he fucking canceled. So anyway,
that's that's a tangent that can be as long as any thread in this plot and still be fine.
Sure.
We're going on our own meta journey. All right. Well, in the interest of brevity and keeping this one under 2 hours.
No, we're over 2 hours.
Which I think, we're too late for that. But let's go ahead and wrap things up. This is the second to last episode of the series. This is the third to last episode of our series, which will conclude after a week-long break.
So let me get the calendar out here.
The calendar out. Tonight is July 2nd. Our next episode will be July 9th.
Yes.
That's next Wednesday, where we will cover
the last episode.
The last episode. July 16th will be an off week. July 23rd will be our epilogue,
episode where we talk.
The final episode of Blank as a Fart, where we cover the entire series as a whole, along with Gabe suffering through some of the supplemental material, which he has already completed. Just needs to write some summaries of the salient points, which there are few and far between.
Gabe put himself up for this. We don't have to do this, but Gabe wanted to.
No, I'm not saying I regret this journey at all, because there was some cool stuff in there.
You have an extra week to get up to it. I'm going to be on vacation with my family. I apologize. I forgot that this was happening.
Hey, don't worry about it.
It's a family vacation, so it's happening. So
yeah,
but I will be.
Family is important.
But we are wrapping it up in July, guys. 100%.
Are any of your family possessed by demons that thrive on pain and suffering? That's a loaded question that we probably shouldn't answer.
Not the family I'm going on vacation with.
Okay, good to know.
the family in fucking Oregon City.
All right, probably. Yeah. Well, we'll talk further details later then.
But no, this is Bryn's family.
This is a happy trip.
This is Bryn's family, her mom's. And,
okay.
Her trip, and so it's like it's fun. It's good times. It's like yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no.
Where are you guys going?
So we're going camping.
Oh no, you're Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's camping too.
Yes, camping.
Camping or glamping
I mean, we're sleeping in a tent.
with an air mattress.
Yes, an air mattress.
So you're near halfway there.
Not hiking in.
Clamping. You're clamping.
Driving, stopping, putting
There's
a
the
camp.
C word for you.
I think the most
Clamping.
glamorous thing is the air mattress. I mean, it's just gonna be me in a chair
Honestly,
and a lot of beer.
I would. Hey,
listen,
that's a good trip too.
Gabe. Wherever camping is,
I haven't been camping nearly enough.
Whatever camping we do nowadays, there's always. Well, any camping I go with my wife, there's always an air mattress now. So.
Hey, that's probably a good thing.
I'm old.
I don't think I could do camping without an air mattress now.
Well, I can sleep on anything. I can sleep. Like when we went on this trip up to Idaho this past weekend. When we
sleeping on anything, yeah. Waking up.
I just slept on a hard floor the entire time. I didn't sleep on a bed at all. We had a hotel room, and the guys. I could have shared a bed. I just slept on. I got drunk and just passed out on the floor. I was fine. Felt good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that now. I think I would be in too much pain waking up from that.
They were all like, "You don't have to do that, Ian." It's like, it feels good. Kind of centering.
It feels good.
Kind of like getting my back centered. And anyway, actual camping.
Actual camping.
I mean camping, but
mattress. I hope it's more fun than going over the year and a half that we've spent watching Twin Peaks. Because that's pretty fun to me.
Listen, I've had nothing but good time doing this with you. This is such... We'll get into this way more in the subsequent episodes. But, like, while I might have suffered through some horrendous episodes...
And while you might have complained an awful lot...
Yes. I have had nothing but fun with my friend Gabe here, so... Listen.
Well, that was the ultimate goal.
Yes.
Is for both of us to have a good time.
And
so
I think
I'll drink to that.
You know, not everyone has to like the same things.
You're absolutely right.
You can like it,
and I think
can hate
this
it.
is a good exercise in that.
Both things can be true.
They can. But if you say it's not art, you're a fucking liar.
I mean, everything's
because that's subjective.
Yes, everything's art. It's subjective, yes. I'm not saying... I didn't say that. I just saying it could be shitty art. No.
It could be art that doesn't resonate with you.
Anyway.
That's my elitist put down these days. Is when I hear a song or see a painting that I think is shit, my go-to response is, it doesn't resonate with me.
Well, mine is, there's art, and then there's shitty art. There's two types of art in the world, guys. Art and shitty art.
There you have it.
There's no such... I will say this. No such thing as good art. 100%. I will... you have your opinions. There's art. There's something that you like. That's art. I agree. But there can be a lot of shitty art.
There can be.
Transformers the movie, shitty art. Doesn't mean...
You fucking garbage. That's a garbage take.
Garbage take. Doesn't mean I don't like it. I love that
beautiful art.
Wait, no, the Michael Bay Transformers, not Transformers the movie cartoon.
Okay.
Transformers the movie cartoon. I'm sorry, Transformers the movie the cartoon.
Thank you for clarifying.
Is beautiful. That is art.
Yes,
that is art. Michael Bay Transformers, shitty art.
Shitty art.
But I still like it. So.
Yeah, it's.
You can still like shitty art. You can still like trash art.
Entire podcast. There's an entire podcast to be fed off of that.
And maybe someday Gabe will lure me back on to talk about Transformers.
Here's how we're gonna because you like these movies and I detest them.
Oh, I detest them too. No. To say that I don't detest them is wrong.
I would say you probably like them more than I do.
Yes, 100%. But there is a lot of things
you have
a
higher appreciation.
Yeah. Anyway, yes.
For them than I would.
Appreciation is hard.
Yeah.
Appreciate is hard. It's a hard one.
Yes, it is. It is a hard one.
Anyway, okay.
All right. So yeah, we've run long. We thank you for those we thank those of you
This
who
is
have
what you
come
guys
with
like.
us
You
all
like
this way.
You like this
Yeah.
bantering.
You like this banter, whether it involves Twin Peaks or not. We like this banter anyway. That's why we continue to hang out.
I would love to have seen Dave Lynch do a Transformers movie. How fucking wild would have that have been? Anyway.
Man, yeah, David Lynch's Return of the Jedi. Things that could have never been. I saw
like
an
that.
interview.
Could have never been.
I saw an interview where he talks about that, where he talks about
I saw
like
that
going
too.
out to Skywalker Ranch
I saw
and
that.
getting the migraine
Mhm.
as soon as he saw the Wookiees.
Yeah.
He's just like, nope,
Nope.
this is not for me. And the agent being like, you just lost millions of dollars.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So say what you will about Lynch, but there's an element of integrity to the art that he creates.
There's no integrity.
There is
in
no
Hollywood
compromise.
Right now, there's no integrity in Hollywood. Everyone's just like trying to make money because like
Yeah.
Hollywood is such a mess right now that like.
Let's see how Superman goes.
See, but that's what I'm
Because
saying.
I think everybody fully expects
Yeah, but,
Superman
like-
to rescue Hollywood entirely.
Well, no, they expected to rescue.
It's going to gross $1 billion.
They expected to
gross $1
rescue
billion.
Warner Brothers, though.
I think it'll do it
I hope it bombs.
for a year. No, you don't.
I do secretly.
Why would you hope for that?
Because James Gunn needs to jump back over to the Marvel train and do Guardians 4.
After the way they treated him, I don't blame him. I would rather see him be the main showrunner for the DCU as a whole.
No, I think Superman looks great. I just don't think it's going to do as well as they think it's going to do.
I think it'll cross $1 billion.
Eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. $1 billion's a lot, man.
What was the last billion?
What was the last billion?
Was that Avengers?
Probably like Maverick.
Oh.
Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, I think Top Gun probably crossed $1 billion.
I don't know what the last billion movie was.
Last billion comic movie was Endgame. I don't think anything's topped that since.
One of the Spider-Mans did. Probably No Way Home.
Oh, yeah. No Way Home.
Or Spider-Verse might have.
The animated one? Topped $1 billion? I don't think so. That seems lofty for an animated film.
Think so?
Yeah. Triple digits for sure, but not $1 billion. Look it up now. I want this proof live on YouTube. Nice. So while he looks that up, I'll say our final farewell so he can cut us off once we get our answer. Quick shout out to Domer, friend of the show, provides the theme song. You've heard this spiel before. Go check out his other work on iTunes. That's the main one. He's really good. I like his stuff a lot. He needs to make more. He's also down with a new band called Night Brunch. They've got a social media account called Night Brunch Official. If you're in the Portland area, they're opening for Slater Kinney in the very near future.
Whoa, that's a pretty big draw. Huh.
That's a high-profile gig, so hope you all check that out. They're amazing, and I'm hoping to make that show myself, even though I know nothing about Slater Kinney. So,
supposedly In and Out 2 hit $1 billion, and Deadpool and Wolverine hit $1 billion.
Okay, yeah.
Mona 2 is expected to hit it at some point.
Moana, really?
Moana 2 is supposed to hit it at some point. So, anyway.
But it's out of the theater now, isn't it? Or are they still showing?
Well, I did 2004 because the 2005, none of those films had crossed the line yet. So I did 2004.
2025?
Sorry, 2024 films I did. And then
Quit living in the
and then
past.
2025 films hadn't quite crossed it yet. But we're looking at, so in 2025, you're looking at Wicked and Lilo and Stitch and Avatar.
So yeah, they really want Superman to just save the concept of the box office as a whole.
No, they just the box office is fine. I think that's trying to save Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is gonna shit. If you don't want Disney to buy Warner Brothers, you should get out there and go watch Superman. Because if you don't go support Superman, Warner Brothers is gonna fold, and then Disney's going to buy it, and then we're going to have DC Marvel comics all the time.
We still got Batman 2 to come.
Oh my god, that's so delayed.
They'll never let go of Batman.
Don't let me go. That's so delayed. Anyway,
The script is done. The script is done.
The first draft that no one likes is done.
Anyhow, end of show. We'll see you next week for the very last episode of The Return. The second to last episode of Blank as a Fart.
Indeed. Oh.
Good night, folks.
Yes. I mean, I got to play the music.
Yes, you do. We're going home. Good night.
Don't rush me, Gabe. Jeez.